I'm currently a senior product designer at LinkedIn, where specifically working on Jobs Home. We help 300,000, roughly 300,000 members every month to find a job, and we help 40 plus million job seekers in their job seeking journey, whatever that means, upskilling, growing their careers, growing their network, and all those things that come with it. I've been working at LinkedIn since April 2020. So it was an interesting timing because I had a kid and a new job, and obviously everything that went with it that you all know. Ford was able to analyze the findings of that research and extrapolate the real unmet need, the real purpose that his users were trying to articulate. That allowed him to formulate a clear problem statement, which was, how might I help people get from point A to point B faster than they do now? So the real problem there is speed, which is not necessarily means a faster horse. It means something else too. So this is why it's important to spend time really analyzing and interpreting the findings and not just stop at user quotes. There's been this study that has been running for a while now, and it really looks at how the brain reacts while doing creative activities. And they're using one specific creative activity, which is a freestyle rap, because it provides a unique opportunity to study spontaneous lyrical improvisation. And it's really multidimensional form of creativity that at the interface of music and language. So it really involves many parts of the brain. And they use this functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, to study the brain and to observe the brain while a person was performing this activity. And they noticed that the areas in our brain that we use to make decisions, rational decisions, is largely inactive during this activity. While the medial prefrontal cortex area, this one right here in front, which is responsible to learn association, context, events, emotional responsive, was extremely active. One thing that I always stress is don't share your ideas with PM and engineering until you show them to design and your peers first. The reason is not because, the reason I've done that so many times, the reason is that you get excited, you get some pressure from PM. They say, hey, have you done those designs? You actually have done them and you want to get him or her off your back. So you say, sure, I've done it. Take a look. They look at them, they fall in love, and then you go through a design crate and it turns out you use the wrong patterns, you use the wrong colors, the wrong font sizes. But then, it's going to be really hard to convince PM and engineering to stop the development that they may have started because there are certain considerations that you didn't take into account. This was really started to define the key screens that I needed to design. So I needed a feed, obviously, and I needed to do all these tutorial screens, and then these decision points, and then how the composer looks like, and the audience picker, and the writing suggestions, and the review screen. So these were really I looked at what I had already, and I could almost paste and copy, and all the things that I needed to create from scratch. I've done this, that I'm going to give you this entire file for you guys to play with, and you can do whatever you want. You can go and change, but this is a more complete library that has a bunch of things built in, from avatars, button, forms, icons, spacing, and tabs. And then I added also all these icons and all these things that you might want to play with. I wanted to give you the bare bones, starting from scratch, how you can build something that can make sense. We can definitely do this is Figma 101, really. Build your basic library. I wanted to make sure I cover for most people here. And there's a subtle distinction that we have to do here between state and act. So the state of something is fundamentally static, like a design composition, right? The act of something in UX is fundamentally temporal and motion-based. And an object can be in the state of being masked or in the act of being masked. In this latter case, we know that the motion is involved in a way that could support usability. The example on the left is linear, nothing on your UI should be linear. It's literally not how things work. And we need to really require ourselves to focus on this aspect and make sure that we find the right using curve and find the right value to make that specific object look and behave in a way that brings together that behavior and expectation. There's always a best possible fade and there's a worst possible fade. Even just that small detail can be done in a way that might help or might not help usability. Page here in the screens, you have the status screens. Basically, you have all these other bits and pieces that come into the UI. Now, you might not get to the feedback stuff. That's a little tricky, but all we need to bring these screens to life is keyboard and notification. Everything else is done in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it from scratch and start again, right? We're going to do prototype live. And if you want to follow through, do that. If you want to look and then do it afterwards, I'm fine. Like I think I usually do this. Like I'm better at learning by watching and then doing it on my own. But I'm just going to go through at least the first few screens and show you how the process works. So you drag this down again. You might want to, for that pause, you might want to like take that delay about like maybe 1.5 seconds. Okay. 1.5 second, which is 100,000 milliseconds. Okay, that. Let's see. Ooh. If you have really, really urgent questions, drop a line on Discord. Otherwise, sign up to the office hour. Join the office hours on Friday, and I'm happy to answer those.